What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for night 2 of WrestleMania 37. Overall, once again, was a pretty good show, a really good show. But without a doubt, night 1 was the better show. I felt like it was a bit more consistent. Even though it also had the equal same amount of matches, being two that I really did not care about at all. The other matches that I were excited for were good matches, but I don't think they were as good as the other matches from night 1. Like, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I feel like could have been longer. Asuka and Rhea Ripley was overall still a really good match, but I feel like the card overall, even though it felt like it was a stronger card, it overall ended up becoming the weaker card in the long run when you compare the two nights. And the Bray Wyatt match and the women's match were just whatever. They were just there, probably just like, okay, let's get the worst matches of the card, let's just get them out of the way right now before we can get to the actual good stuff that the people are actually invested in. So yeah, but of course, the main event with Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge was fucking fantastic, man. By the way, guys, if I'm speaking a little bit quieter than I usually do, that's because it's like really late. It's of course really late right now, and trying to don't want my mom, I was trying to sleep and all that shit. So I'm trying to not talk as loud. So probably won't be screaming or raising my voice. I was trying not to, even when because there were still a couple things in this match that pissed me off. That I thought were kind of egregious, but we'll get there. But yeah, man, the main event was fucking fantastic. Without a doubt, saved night 2 and made it a lot better than it probably would have originally would have been without it. But overall, I would say night 1 was the superior night of the 2 nights of WrestleMania. The exact opposite of Takeover, because you guys know with Takeover, I thought night 2 was over better than night 1. Takeover delivered well. This one, I thought night 1 was better. Anyway, let's just jump right in. So, first off, we have Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton to start off the show. I was actually kind of surprised. This once again started off the show. I thought this would probably been like later on the card or something, but they started off with it. Randy made his entrance. He was white and red trunks. It was pretty cool. Of course, got the pyro and everything. I'm sure he was happy to see it be in front of a lot of people again. So that was cool. Then Bray Wyatt came out. Well, actually, it wasn't Bray. It was actually Alexa Bliss. Which, first off, I don't think I've mentioned this before in any other videos. I don't think I even mentioned this on Twitter, but this is something I kind of recently have noticed. As Alexa was making her way to the ring, I really dig the way how she has been. Like, the longer she has been with the Fiend, the more I guess you could say demonic she's become over the course of her run with the Fiend. Because at first it just was just her in the pigtails. Then she was rocking like the overalls, the skirt, and all that stuff. Then she started having like white contact lenses, and now she had like black paint all over her. Now she's been a little bit crazy with the makeup with like black like eyeliner or whatever, eyeshadow around her eyes. Then we of course got what happened to the end of the match, which I'm not gonna lie, was pretty cool. And the Fiend's entrance overall was really cool as well. So she gets to when she makes it to the ring, there's this giant Jack in the Box there. She starts like turning and tuning in and everything. Of course, then like this demonic satanic symbol pops out the top of it as the Fiend slowly rises from it. But we find out the Fiend apparently is no longer burnt. He is not wearing the burnt mask that we've seen him on Raw for the last couple of weeks. He was back to the original mask he used to have, although his overall outfit was the outfit he did get when he didn't go back to the original outfit. He was still wearing like the vest and everything from when he did come back with like the burnt mask and everything. So I don't know, and the red lighting is back as well, which honestly I'm kind of indifferent towards. I don't really. I mean, I would prefer it to be natural lighting, but whatever. I don't mind the red light, honestly. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of strange because it's like was he burned for all this time, burned to the crisp at TLC, and now suddenly whoop, he's back to normal. Back to the old Fiend mask. I guess maybe we'll get some explanation on Raw, possibly on how the hell that happened. But I was just kind of surprised by that because I thought he was gonna rock the new mask and we would be able to get a better look at it and all that jazz, because I really did the design of the new mask on, looked really cool. But he came out, but he still kept the new vest and everything, just went back to the original mask. Anyway, the match starts. The match itself was honestly 5 minutes. So it was quick and painless. Honestly, I was kind of indifferent towards it. Honestly, wasn't really paying all that much attention. Randy Orton, of course, goes for like those patented like drinking DDTs. Bray no sells him. I think he like also Randy like hit him on top of the announce table. That of course sold that. The Fiend had his offense and all that jazz. But eventually, as the match progresses, the Fiend puts him up, ready for Sister Abigail, kisses him, whole 9 yards. But then like fire comes out from like the steel post, and we see that Alexa Bliss is now on top of the Jack in the Box, and she is like now has like this dripping like black ooze or black blood, whatever it is, dripping down her face as she like changed her outfit and everything. And not gonna lie, it looked really fucking cool. And so I guess this confirms that Alexa has fully become Sister Abigail, that she has become the reincarnation of Sister Abigail. I'm assuming that's what they were going with, because the Fiend gets distracted, which is enough for Randy to hit one RKO to win the match. Yeah, one RKO. The Fiend kicked out of what, 20 curve stomps at Hell in the Cell like last year, like 2 years ago, and here only one RKO does him in. Kind of ridiculous if you ask me, but whatever. So he wins the match. Whatever. They kind of just ended there. They just kind of fade to black. Whatever match, honestly, man, I couldn't really care. It was quick and painless, but nothing crazy. So next up, we have the women's match. Once again, like the Gauntlet match, I did not even pay attention. I wasn't really watching it throughout most of it. I only just caught the glimpses. Mostly only paid attention when Shayna was in the ring, because you guys know me, I love Shayna. But anyway, Shayna did at least get the submission victory, so that was cool. I guess so she has been somewhat redeemed after the bullshit that was last year's WrestleMania. So I somewhat forgive those tragedies. They did give Shayna the win. She was the one that tapped out. I believe it was Natalia to retain the championships. So that was that. Also, fucking Nia Jax did like a crossbody off the second rope. Yeah. So then next up we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. This match was awesome and was made even better when KO stunned Logan Paul at the end of the match, which that was without a doubt probably low key might have actually been the highlight of the show, if not, or like one of the highlights of the pay per view as a whole was definitely KO just stunning Logan Paul. And to be fair, like Logan Paul did sell it pretty good. I thought he did a really good job selling it, surprisingly. But anyway, Sami Zayn makes his entrance, Logan Paul makes his entrance. Of course, he was booed out of the building, rightfully so. I'm gonna be real. My hatred towards Logan Paul has definitely diminished a lot since the whole thing with the dead body thing and the Suicide Force, all that shit. It's gone down a lot. I still don't really like the dude, but I'm more indifferent towards him now than I was back then. And I will say the man, definitely from some of the clips I've seen this podcast that popped up on Twitter when Jake was being dumbass and was in with the looting and everything. I could tell the man has definitely grown up since then. So, props to him. Jake, fuck him. He's a lost cause, honestly. But anyway, we ain't here for me. You are not here for me to discuss my opinions on the Paul So Logan makes his entrance, like I said before, he was booed out of the building. Then, of course, Kevin Owens comes in. He was obviously very excited, hyped up. My man was screaming, like, yeah, he was like pacing around. Obviously, he was really just basking in the energy and really just savoring it for all it was worth, that he's now back in live fans, because I'm sure he missed the fans as much as everyone else, all the other wrestlers. So, Kevin Owens really showed it off, and he was just like, yeah, he was excited, he was hyped up. Anyway, we started the match off. It actually started fast and furious because Sami Zayn comes rushing right towards him and Kevin Owens just like instantly picks him up and goes for a pop-up powerbomb, which it's always nice to the pop-up powerbomb now, because for some reason Kevin Owens doesn't use it as much as he used to. Like the stunner has now become his new finisher. Don't know why he's kind of like almost semi-retired the pop-up powerbomb, because I think it's a lot cooler, but whatever. Anyway. After that, you then had Kevin Owens half Sami Zayn up in a suplex position. He didn't just throw him on top of the top rope. He bounces off of that. So the Sami Zayn's solo match was great. Which, first off, I actually want to mention this before we continue on with the match. I actually recently saw the match that Sami and KO had a takeover. Don't remember which one. It was one of the earliest takeovers when Kevin Owens won the NXT Championship. because I've heard great things about it. I always meant to watch it. They uploaded it up on the YouTube channel. I finally watched it. I was like, first off, the match was fantastic. But I was like, yo, I did not know Sami was this great of a seller, because he was selling the shit out of Kevin Owens' moves, and you can see some of that, and you can see bits of that here in this match as well. And anyway, as the match progressed, throughout the whole match, you also hear chants of "Logan sucks, Logan sucks," which of course I was very appreciative of. That was very nice to hear that. But anyway, the match continues on. You had Sami unleash a brainbuster and KO on the apron. Then you had Kevin, like, I don't know what he was doing. Like, it was like Sami Zayn was going for like a suplex on the second rope, the second rope, and then Kevin Owens like grabbed him and countered him, like turned him around, and then just like, I guess, did like some sort of suplex and just fell to the ground. I don't know what the move was called. They never mentioned on commentary, but it looked really fucking cool. Speaking of commentary, this was probably one of the funniest moments of the entire night, or hell, even the entire show, even. But Sami Zayn hit a Mitsunuki driver, and Cole called it as the Blue Thunder Bomb. And then Corey Chris correcting him, saying that's a Mitsunuki driver. I'm saving you from the internet today, Cole. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I had enough of that last night. Which I laughed my ass because everyone was clowning on him about like, oh, so about him saying about Sasha kicking out when she didn't. So that was pretty fun. Anyway, man. You actually also had Kevin doing like clotheslines in the corner, and then like as he was like rushing backwards to do a third one, Sami Zayn starts rushing towards him, hits the haluva kick, and actually surprisingly, JBL, who was the guest commentator for the match, brought up their match at Battleground 2016. That was like 5 years ago, and that's how Sami won. I don't even remember that match, so I couldn't even tell you if he was right or talking out of his ass, but I thought that was interesting that he even brought that up. Anyway, Kevin Owens hits the stunner to win the match. 1, 2, 3. Great match, a bit short. I honestly would have wished it was a bit longer, but kind of get why there wasn't really nothing on the line for this match. It was just kind of there, thrown into the card. Great match. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens always work so great together, man. And it's always a joy to watch them wrestle. So, Logan Paul gets in the attacks on Sami, and he eventually starts going after Kevin Owens, trying to shake his hand. Sami rather is like, it's like, you're my guest of honor, not his, Logan pushes him down to the ground. Sami gets out of the ring, and then Logan grabs like KO's hand, lifts it up in the air, like victory, being like, yeah. And of course, the whole crowd is like booing. Then when Kevin pulls his arm back, he's looking at his arm. The crowd is like cheering. They're all chanting yes. So Logan's like, yeah. He's all aware of this. He might have been in on it probably because he probably knows how everyone fucking still hates him. But then as he keeps trying, Kevin Owens kind of looks at the crowd, and then he stuns him, which got a huge pump in the crowd, as well as myself, because fuck Logan Paul. So that was happening. Like I said before, he did sell pretty good, to be fair. He did sell the center really well. But yeah, Kevin Owens won. That was a great match. Anyway, next up was Matt Riddle versus Sheamus for the U.S. title. Great match. These guys are absolutely fantastic. Started off hard hitting. Both these guys were out for blood. Actually, right before this, funny story. Right before we got to this match, we had a backstage segment with Matt Riddle, who was on his backstage, with the scooter. He was talking with the Great Khali. But then RVD actually came in there. They had a little interaction going on there, which was pretty irritating, pretty fun to watch. Yeah, so that was fun. I would like to see more interactions between RVD and Matt Riddle. Who knows? We might actually see more. We might not. But I enjoyed what we saw here in WrestleMania. Anyway, so like I said before, the match was hard hitting. Sheamus would eventually hit Matt Riddle right in the kidneys, and that would he was like, oh, Matt Riddle was like selling them. Then Sheamus would get him up against the ropes into the 10 beats, the battering, which were more like 8 this time. As the match continues on, we actually saw two almost near botches from these two, from both Sheamus and Matt Riddle, but they both made it work, and they were both able to recover from it. Like with Matt Riddle, he was trying to get Sheamus up for a suplex, but the first time he couldn't get him upright all the way, so then he tried again and was able to land perfectly. Sheamus, on the other hand, was on the second rope, Matt Riddle tried to do something might try to do something with him on the top rope, but Sheamus grabs him and locks him, puts him in for a white noise. He tries to get up onto the top rope, but he just couldn't get his footing right, so he ends up just slipping right back down to the bottom rope. And he managed to keep hold Matt Riddle there, and he ends up when he gets back on the floor, he hits white noise like it was nothing. So. Shout out to both of them being constant professionals, looking for each other's safety. You also had there was some pretty very interesting and amazing little spots this match we had where we had Matt Riddle go for I think he might have been going for a buckshot lariat because he did that same flip over the top rope that Adam Page does when he does his buckshot lariat, but then he runs like right into Sheamus's knee, devastating move, and I thought that was the end of the match. But the real end of the match was where Matt Riddle jumps off the second rope like he's going for a lion's sword, and while he's in midair, Sheamus broad kicks him. He actually ended up busting his lip because his Matt Riddle was bleeding a little bit from his lip after the match was over, and it looked amazing. Goes for the 1-2-3 and won the United States Championship. Like I said before, man, this was a great match, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very entertaining, and this match definitely did not disappoint. Next up was Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. This was also another great match. I really enjoyed this match, man. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. It was I think it was called like a Nigerian drum beat match or something like that. It was something Nigerian and drums. Either way, it was basically an Extreme Rules match with more African weaponry, I guess you can say. You had the usual kendo sticks and chairs and all that noise, but you also had like a gong there, what I assume were like African-esque drums and a few other stuff on the outside. So you actually had Big E's biggest interest because he's from Tampa Bay. You actually had Wale doing his entrance music, so that was pretty cool. Apollo Crews made his entrance. They started going at it. The gong got used by Big E. Of course, the stairs would eventually come into it because the stairs what we had before in the previous matches that led up in the previous matches or previous SmackDowns we've seen that continue this feud. Where on SmackDown when Apollo Crews just like dropped the stairs right over on Big E over the top rope. He tried to do that again when Big E was like laying on the bottom half of the stairs. Apollo Crews had like the top half of the stairs. He was about to jump off, about to drop them on it, but of course Big E got out of the way. Big E would actually end up using those bomb stairs on the apron when Apollo Crews came right towards him and landed him and put him and just like slammed him into the stairs of the Uranagi. That was pretty cool. Kendo sticks were of course used, and they were beating the living piss out of each other with the kendo sticks. That's always hype to watch. Um, and the gong got used by Big E. Eventually, Big E actually lands a big ending, and when we think the match is over, he goes for the 1, the 2, but then fucking what the hell was that dude's name? The dude from Raw Underground. I'm slipping on the man's name. Daba Kato actually shows up in like this military looking gear, starts beating the shit out of Big E, and of course has Apollo put him over him, so he wins the match and becomes a new Intercontinental Champion. This match I thought, like I said, was pretty cool. So I guess now Apollo Crews has his own, like I guess you can say, security detail, like AJ Styles has with Almost. Apollo Crews has Dabba-Kato, which they on commentary they acted like we've never seen this guy before. Like, who is he? Look at the size of this man. He was Michael Cole's going crazy. Even though we've seen this all over the place on Raw Underground, I get it that you're trying to do a fresh start with this guy, but come on, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, whatever. I'm interested to see where this is going. I think the pairing is going to work pretty well for giving him like giving Apollo Crews some additional muscle, along with the muscle he already has, because the dude's jacked. But great match. I really enjoyed it, man. And next up was actually Asuka and Rhea Ripley. Once again, this match was also great as well. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. But it was definitely nowhere near as good as Bianca and Sasha, but it was still a great women's match in its own right. So the match started fast and frantic, a lot of countering and quick pinning combinations of with Asuka taking the lead early on. But of course, it was on that time for Rhea Ripley made her presence known. She had the upper hand. Um, you had them carrying exchanging some missions like Reina was doing like some leg scissors, and then she like was like on top of Oscar. Oscar's face was basically in the mat, and she just started slapping the back of her head constantly, be like, "Come on, champ! Come on, champ!" And then Oscar got in a knee bar Sasha that Reina turned into like a power bomb. Those spots were cool, but without a doubt, the best spot of the night of the match rather was when Oscar landed a DDT on Reina Ripley from the apron to the floor. That was fucking hype. That was fucking good, man. So anyway, as the match continues on, we get to the end where Asuka's hitting her with some kicks. Reina's like I'm like begging for more. Which also, first off, they actually had the band that did Rhea Ripley's theme. They actually had her do her theme live for WrestleMania, which was pretty cool. The lead singer of the band, Loki, looks like Shotzi Blackheart. Loki. I also dig the gear both these ones had. Rhea Ripley was rocking black and red, which you guys know I'm always a fan of, and I really like Asuka's gear with the green and everything. That looked pretty cool. But anyway, as I was saying, so Asuka's hitting with kicks. Reina's like, yeah, man. She wants more, and then she keeps going. But then Reina counters it into the riptide for the 1, 2, 3, and she's your new Raw Women's Champion. Good match. Don't really know what they're gonna do next because the Raw Women's division is kind of shit. So I don't know what's gonna happen with next with Reina of her becoming with champ. Maybe they'll have her face off against Ronda. Maybe, or maybe she fights and faces off against Becky. I'll have to wait and see on the Raw after Mania what happens then. So yeah, there's that. Now, before we get to the main event with the Triple Threat, which first of all was a fucking masterpiece. I fucking love that match. We gotta talk about the segment that happened between it. Now, I would get a lot more angrier and I probably would start screaming, but like I said before, because how late it is and I don't want to wake up my mom, I am going to try and remain as calm as possible and talk as quietly as I can without raising my voice while I discuss this fucking atrocity that I had to unfortunately witness. So, you had Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan. They did their thing, thanking the fans and all that shit. Eventually, Bayley comes out, which that's basically what she's been doing during WrestleMania. These past 2 days, just been doing some backstage segments. Don't know after everything she did for the women's division, carrying on her back, she didn't get a match at WrestleMania, but whatever, at least she was on the show. I personally would have given her a match somehow, but whatever. Anyway, she's going in there. She's pissed off that knowing that they don't thank her. That she's like, I've been carrying this show on my back with the hosting duties, yada yada yada. Then as she's talking, the fucking Bella twins show up, who of course you guys know were inducted into the Hall of Fame. Undeservedly so, if you ask me, but whatever. I mean, I get why they were inducted. They have done a lot for the division, especially putting more eyes on the product with their reality shows and all that shit. But if we're just talking about their in-ring work, they're both trash. To be fair, Nikki did get a lot better as time progresses, but Brie, the bitch couldn't even do a fucking suicide dive properly. Brie mode, more like botch mode, if you ask me. Anyway, I digress. So they come in there, Bayley just tried to tell him, like, no, this is not your moment. Bayley also asked, where's my pyro? And she got some pyro. That was pretty funny. I like that one. But anyway, as she's going on, she keeps going on about the Bella twins, on asking why they're here. Then Billy gets a little savage, saying John Cena isn't here, which did get a laugh out of me. Of course, then Nikki slaps the mic out of her hand, and they start beating on her. Then both Brie and Nikki legit grab her and throw her down the ramp, and she just starts rolling down the ramp. This is absolutely fucking outrageous. Let me get this straight. Bayley and Sasha Banks as well carry the women's division on their fucking back. Really, the main roster in general for over a year during the pandemic. When WWE was struggling, with the pandemic shows going just work out the PC with nothing until they got like some fans in there, whatever. They have been carrying the women's division on their backs with Bayley's SmackDown title reign and the women's tag team championships and Sasha doing her thing. These women carried the show on their back. And this is how you treat Bayley? By burying her by the fucking Bella twins? Like, if it was AJ Lee, that'd be one thing. I could stomach that. If it was, hell, even if it was Becky, I would take that. I'd be like, fine, she's the man. She comes back. Why not? I wouldn't even mind that. You know, if it was fucking Paige doing it, I would not have minded. But the fucking Bella Twins that go against them, who did nothing but hold back the women's evolution, if you ask me, because like I said, they were both trash and are not the women's wrestler that should have been promoted. Like, they are not like Sasha, they're not Bayley, they're not like fucking Asuka, Io, or AJ Lee or Paige. Those type of women, the ones that can actually wrestle. Not these two. Not these two. But like I said, Nikki did get better. They're just facts. This is just fucking egregious, and WWE should be fucking ashamed of their shelves for like, yes, we will congratulate and reward you, Bayley, by fucking burying you by the Bella Twins. Enjoy. Fucking ridiculous, man. It's fucking egregious, and that was probably the most sickening thing that I saw in the entire show. Like, that's just bullshit right there, man. Like, she should have at the very least got a match, but this is how you treat her? Fuck off with this bullshit, man. Anyway, on to the main event itself, which was fucking fantastic. So everyone starts making their entrance. Edge, of course, probably had like the biggest babyface reaction out there because it's Edge. Now I think he was doing his whole thing. You could tell Edge was excited when he was finally back in front of fans. Daniel Bryan was doing the yes movement, and of course Roman made his way down the ring. He actually made Roman made Edge and Daniel Bryan wait for a bit before he finally made his way down the ramp slowly and methodically. So the match starts, of course. Roman starts going after Daniel Bryan. Edge gets in there. And actually, surprisingly, I did not expect that. But as soon as Daniel Bryan and Edge get out of the rings, both of them instantly get met with super kicks from Jey Uso, which I like. And then eventually, of course, chairs got into the mix. Or actually, rather, Edge hit like a DDT on Jey Uso on the steel steps, which they actually stretchered him. They actually had the medical team get him out of there. Thought that was actually kind of surprised that they took him out so quickly. But then the match continues. Edge and Daniel Bryan have a little one-on-one spat going on. Roman starts kind of acknowledging the fans. Does that a little bit later. That was pretty cool. But that was pretty awesome. But of course, like I said, for chairs events to get into the mix, which is pretty fun. But we gotta talk about some of the best spots of the night, man. So Edge ends up hitting I think I want to say it was Jay. It might have been Roman with a steel chair. He then with a steel chair, and it ends up like the chair ends up breaking apart. I don't know if this chair was gimmicked or just naturally broke like that. But either way, there was basically I think it was like one of the legs of the chair that were kind of like broke off. Before we get that, you also had Edge and Roman actually do like a double spear where they like speared each other, like that when some people do like the double clothesline, the double crossbody, and they both get knocked to the floor. That happened with Edge and Roman was so fucking awesome, man. But anyway, I want to say Edge hit like a spear on Roman Reigns, and he goes for the pin. 1, 2, and Daniel Bryan pulls the ref out of the ring. That was hype. And actually, right before that, Edge uses that steel beam or whatever from the steel chair, locks Roman Reigns in a crossface, and uses that piece and puts it over Roman's mouth instead of locking his hands together. So he's ducking, and Roman is about to tap, but then Daniel, the last second, grabs his hand before he starts tapping and holds him in. Then Daniel locks in the label lock on the other side, and they both are just kind of looking. Then Edge and Daniel are looking at each other, and they're telling each other to let go of the hold before they just start headbutting each other. Fucking awesome shit. Then you also had the ref spot. So, of course, Edge is enraged by this. My man gets those crazy eyes, man. It was so nice to see Edge getting those crazy eyes again, him running his hands through his hair as he's preparing for the spear. Oh, I love that shit. So, of course, Edge gets crazy. He starts just wailing everybody with the steel chairs. Steel chairs for everyone. It was fucking amazing, man. I absolutely loved it. Then he grabs even more chairs, throws them into the rings, hits a concerto on Daniel Bryan. He's about to hit Roman, but then Jey Uso comes in at the last second to save him, which then Edge starts attacking him. Roman ends up hitting him like a spear and a Superman punch, and instead, and this was probably the best, and you could tell this was Paul Heyman's call, which also, speaking of Paul Heyman, if you actually paid attention, when Daniel Bryan, I want to say it was Edge when he locked in the crossface, if you looked in the background, you could see Paul Heyman being mortified. He says the man looks like he's on the verge of tears, praying that the tribal chief doesn't tap out or something. Looked fantastic. I don't know if any of y'all noticed that, but I picked that up while I was watching the match. Anyway, So like I said before, Edge, Roman hits him with like a spear and a Superman punch. And instead of just pinning him or just pinning Daniel, my man Roman Reigns, he shows you why he is indeed the tribal chief. The head of the table. He grabs his Edge's arm and then literally drags the man over to Daniel's body, throws him on top of him, and then pins them both. 1, 2, 3. Fucking brilliant. That is probably one of the best match endings I've ever seen. If you wanted to put Roman over in the best way as a heel, you did the right. That is the way you do it, man. You can tell that was Paul Heyman's call, man. That was fucking brilliant. Absolutely fucking brilliant. I would go full Nigel McGuinness on that, but like I said, trying to keep my voice down. Don't want to risk making up my mom. But anyway, guys, that match was fucking awesome. Without a doubt, that felt like a WrestleMania main event. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the show. Overall, this was a good show. Overall, my final verdict for night 2 of WrestleMania 37 would be an 8 out of 10. It would honestly be a lot lower, probably like a 7 out of 10 or 7.5 out of 10 if the main event wasn't as good as it was. That without a saved night 2. Like I said before, at the beginning of the beginning of the video, night 1 I thought was a better show, and overall I would give WrestleMania 37 an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it was overall a great show. A lot of great matches, a lot of enjoyable spots, a lot of enjoyable things to enjoy in the show, and it was fun just to see the actual live people in the crowds again. That was probably the best part of WrestleMania this year, was just seeing fans in attendance again. But yeah, man, we got Raw tomorrow. See what's gonna happen there. SmackDown, NXT is on Tuesdays now. You got all that shit, so. The amazing what's going to be happening post WrestleMania. We'll find it out as the days progresses and we get to Raw, SmackDown, and all that shit. Anyway, guys, tell me down below what you guys thought of WrestleMania this year. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite match? What was your match of the night? What was your favorite spot of the night? Tell me all that down below in the comments, guys. And hope you all enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time. You